what a week it has been for He-Man fans. We have had more reveals in the last week than I think in the past 10 years, as far as so many different figures shown at once. Well, I guess that means I'm doing another video, since I already did a video on Motu reveals earlier this week, but, we got to keep up with this stuff, and it's a good thing. So we've had multiple scales now, multiple toy lines previewed for us, and we're getting a lot of new stuff and a lot of new tooling. And that's really the important thing is, because whether it's vehicles or characters, and we're going to get to those figures in a moment, if they require full tools, which means no shared parts and no reuse parts, it means that there's investment. Versus a rehash figure or an update where you're just putting on a new head or new accessories, new boots, new gloves, like this 2000X Skeletor, that's low-hanging fruit. It's expected. It's definitely better than a repaint that has no new tooling. And I'm talking for any toy line. I'm not being specific on, He-Man toys. This goes for all toy lines. And as new characters are introduced, like we have Snoutspout here, new head, new boots, new gloves, new backpack, new vest. It's a lot more parts than, doing Mini Comic Stratos. That was a straight repaint. And believe me, I am ecstatic, because this was my biggest concern with what was happening with things like Motu Origins, was we were seeing so many repaints and very few fully tooled figures. So this new wave, this very Horde-centric wave that was revealed last week or this week, depending on when you're watching this. Well, I guess it could be months ago, depending on when you're watching this. You could watch this anytime. Now, we already got Grizzlor at PowerCon in his darker fur colors, which was a variant. So it's no surprise we're getting the classic version in Origins. But the real big awesome news was characters like Mantenna here, who is not only a really cool rendition with 4 articulated legs. The original vintage figure, the legs were sort of stuck together as one piece. So we had 2 legs, but each leg represented 2 legs. Here they are 4, and it looks like the eyeball popping mechanism is maybe now on the top of the head, as opposed to a switch that was in the chest. So that's cool. It'll probably allow the head to have more articulation. But he's fully tooled. There's no reuse. There's no part sharing, and there's no potential reuse in the future. And the same goes for Leech, although this one we have a bigger issue with, and that needs to be addressed. When we did Leech in Classics, it was actually a compromise figure. He did get a lot of new tooling, new chest, new head, but we had to sort of cheat with the arms. And I think they kind of did the same thing here. It looks like the arms and legs are the same standard arms and legs. He really should have thicker arms and legs, more like tubes. But again, we cheated in Classic, so I can't exactly berate Origins for doing the same type of cheat. But that's not the issue I have with Leech. This is one of his publicity shots showing him, I guess, suction to a wall. Now, the vintage figure only suctioned with the face. You had to pump the back of his body, which it looks like this figure does not have that pump mechanism. It's much more just about, recreating the feel of the figure. But that's not how he works. He doesn't suction cup to walls. He's not Spider-Man. Leech is, it's kind of like people who mix up Cyclops and Superman's laser vision, right? I mean, Superman has heat vision, Cyclops has optic blasts. They're not the same thing. Superman's are hot, they can melt things. Cyclops's beams are much more like punching you in the stomach really hard. It's just a powerful, hit. There's no heat involved. And even some of the X-Men movies have shown Cyclops using heat vision. So this is kind of one of those pet peeves I have when a company, whether it's comic books or toys or whatever, don't understand their own characters. Leech uses his suction cups to suck the energy out of people, out of heroes, like he's shown on the card back art in the vintage line. This is similar to other sort of cross-sell mistakes, which, again, kind of a pet peeve of mine. Like, a good example is this Marvel Legends Venom figure that showed the transforming symbiote piece using the Venom head. But again, this is incorrect. That piece is supposed to accompany the Eddie Brock head that comes with the figure, not the Venom head. It represents the part of the symbiote that makes up the head portion that covers his face. So yes, I mean, they packed him out correctly, but in the publicity shot, they wanted to show piece count, and it was clearly shot by someone who didn't have a firm understanding of the character. And that's kind of what Mattel's done with Leech here. And the thing is, this isn't the first time they've done this with Origins. And yes, I know I'm totally coming from like this elitist point of view, like, oh, I know so much about the Masters brand. But, I did work on it for 10 years plus. Well, maybe not plus. Maybe it's more like 9 years minus. But it's so important. These details, these little details, I think, are some of the most important things. And, other mistakes have shown up in Origins, like Horde here, the cross-sell or the publicity shot here, showing the bat as, I guess, like a missile that was part of his crossbow. But again, that's not what that is. That's not a missile shooting out of his crossbow. That is the bat that's supposed to go on his arm. And the fact that things like this show up in the official PR shots, Leech stuck to a wall, Hordak using the bat as sort of a missile in his thing. Leech is supposed to be like Mosquito, where he sucks the energy out of people. He does not climb walls. He is not Spider-Man. I mean, I'm sure there are people who played that way as kids, but if you are actually getting into the lore, well, all right. So let's jump over to the other big reveal, which is the Masterverse line, which so far has been cranking out figures from Motu Revelation. Now, obviously, the show wasn't exactly a runaway hit, and a big part of that, I think, was the upfront communication with fans, that it was not really communicated that this wasn't a Filmation sequel, and that Tilo was going to be a major character, especially for the first arc. If those things were just said, I think, from day one, and expectations were managed, I kind of have a feeling the show would have gone over better. Yes, the show would have gone over better. I mean, Kevin Smith even doubled down by saying it was the fans' fault for not understanding it, and that his failures were not his failures; they were the fans' failures. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of memes online that dig into this and go backwards and forwards, but that's the same issue with Leech. Having people who work on properties who understand them, and that it goes far away. I mean, it was great that we saw characters like Scareglow for the first time in animation. But, he was used in a very different way. And way Kevin Smith handled the franchise, I think, showed that he didn't truly know it as well as others. I'm not saying I was the biggest expert, but, we're also seeing Masterverse figures show up on clearance. And that's, a direct result of its link to the content. And I think the fan backlash from feeling that they were, quote unquote, lied to, if you will, that it was going to be a sequel to Filmation. Now, we were shown future figures for Masterverse, and Mattel did go ahead. You can slap a Toady winner sticker on a figure. Obviously, that's going to help drive sales. So Mattel is clearly, this is a priority for them, this brand, this line, whether it's let's maximize it before Universal takes over, or they've made a deal with Universal to continue it past 2023. Either way, we're getting more stuff. And, there's been fan posts guessing what's going to come out in, both Origins and Masterverse. Some of them have turned out true, some not so much. I don't think anyone really predicted some of these figures. We get another Beastman, which, again, major character. Always important to have the main characters out there. Because once you're down to the tertiary characters, well, you're losing your audience. So this is Beastman from the beginning of Revelation, when he looks sort of more classic-y. I mean, not like Motu Classics, I guess, Filmation or the original toy. Obviously, Revelation did some redesigns, and, if you want a figure that looks like the original toy, well, there's always the original toy. It's not that hard to get off eBay, and it's really not that expensive. And then, of course, there's Classics, which was designed to be a sort of, perfected version of the vintage toys with high articulation. It wasn't meant to mimic their form factor the way Origins is, which is really cool. The fact that He-Man toys are a form factor. So yeah, so we're getting another Beastman from the finale, when I guess he decides he is not a man, he's a beast. All right, spoiler alert. We already got this figure, so it makes sense if they're going to do another Beastman that they do one that's more in line with the traditional look that we know him. And I think they did a smart thing having this one first, because I think if people bought the more classic-y one, and got a Beastman that looked like he looks in the other animations that are out there, it might have fulfilled that need. So it's always good to get the the more off version out first, like putting out Night Stalker before Stridor. All right, and now here's where we get really interesting. So in Masterverse, in the 7-inch line, now we get Hordak, and this is the Filmation Hordak from Etheria, where he has blue skin. In Classics, it's explained that on Etheria, his blue blood rises to the surface, and that's why he gets blue skin on Etheria. I'm not sure what the explanation is for Origins, or really, where the source material is for this figure. We do see some hints of the Horde at the very end of Motu Revelation. the sort of finale or the final moment sets up what could be a third season, second season, I guess depends on how you count it. And we did see a lot of Horde members in the comic books, the accompanying comic books, especially Hordak. So it does kind of look like the figure is based off of this. Are we going to get a lot more Horde and a lot more She-Ra characters now in the Masterverse line? In the comic for Revelation, Hordak had gray skin, but he's got blue skin. We do get another Horde member though, and this one again, big surprise and a welcome one, Catra. So a character that was definitely not part of Masters of the Universe and absolutely part of the POP line. She did not appear in that comic book with Hordak, the spin-off comic for Revelation, so there's no reference material to base this figure on. I'm not sure if this is, just the Mattel designers creating a Catra. I'm guessing because she appeared on the other Netflix show, there's more recognition. So, we did her in Classics as a version from the Filmation show. It's basically like the style guide version versus doing one based on the original toy. Looked a little different. A lot of the POP dolls back in the day, because they were dolls and had rooted hair and soft goods, they came with combs. So it would have been cool to do like repaints of them in their classic toy colors. And hey, maybe we'll get that in Masterverse. Who knows? But once you have a Catra tool, at least you have another deco option out there. So, that ain't bad. All right. Well, I'm still going to like the Polly Pocket Catra the most. This was an amazing set. All right. Anyway, I should probably do a whole video just on that Polly Pocket set. That was crazy to work on. So yeah, so we all know Adora and Catra from the Netflix show. So that's probably why we're getting her in Masterverse. And then wrapping up the reveals, we have a truly, classic Motu character, Jitsu. Although, once again, sort of reimagined as if he was in Revelation. We never saw him in Revelation, but I guess maybe this was either the design created for Jitsu or, again, the Mattel designers, created a Jitsu to, put out there. Originally, he was Chopper when he appeared in Filmation, but he got cut after one episode. They thought he came across as a little racist, shall we say. And then the figure was changed from Chopper to Jitsu. Makes sense to have an Earth-based fighting style on a foreign, alien planet of Eternia. I always wondered that. Like, wait, they have Jitsu? Isn't that like a, from Earth? Okay. Wrapping up, we have another Skeletor, and this is interesting because this is the other Netflix show, Skeletor, the one from the CGI show that's aimed at kids. So we're getting that Skeletor as a super articulated figure in 7-inch. So definitely a surprise. I didn't see this one coming. Again, he's fully tooled, so they're committing to this. But he's sort of, I guess, you're selling two different animated series with this one toy, sort of. So we've had a few different toys of him for kids. We've had 5-inch ones. We had a 10-inch one, minimum articulation. So we're getting a collector-friendly version, and it's no qualms with that. Although I have to say, back in the day when we did mixed characters, like we had movie characters in a comic book wave, like this Gahoo figure for Green Lantern, who was a preview of the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds, that huge smash hit that changed cinema forever, that movie, right? Well, flash forward to today, fast forward, things like Marvel Legends mix up cinematic and comic book figures in the same mix all the time. So it's kind of become the standard. It's amazing how much, grief fans gave us for that Gahoo figure. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to what's going to come with Masterverse. It looks like, it's really going to be a catch-all for lots of different styles, and I really hope it continues and is huge, because we need more He-Man at retail. What do you guys think? Are you excited about the new reveals? Do publicity photos that incorrectly show characters' powers annoy you the way they do me? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, and I'll comment back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.